the greatest feud in rock to me is the biggest band in rock is the Beatles. When Paul McCartney had to sue the rest of the Beatles in order to save the Beatles' legacy. All three Beatles years later said Paul was in the right, but he went in to the point of freezing Beatle assets, getting a judge to freeze the Beatles' assets. Paul was, I brought this up on my stream last week on Wednesday. Paul, so all his money was tied up in receivership, right? And so in the meantime, the Beatles had this big thing. Paul was going to release the McCartney album. They said, no, we're going to release Let It Be. They sent Ringo over to Paul because Paul wasn't listening to him. They were fighting pretty much all the time at this point. Paul got into Ringo's face, raised his face, now bloody finish you, and told him to get out. The Beatles came back by his house and threw bricks through his window. So all this stuff was happening, right?
Wow.
And then Paul winds up, and he had the McCartney scheduled first, really. Okay, he had his whole thing set up and ready to go. So officially, he was in the right. Could Paul have just said, yeah, for the sake of the Beatles, maybe I'll hold this off? Yeah, he could have, but for whatever reason, he didn't. He felt like he had been taken off the Let It Be project, during all this point, that he wasn't being listened to, and he wasn't going to be listening to anybody else. And then, so he's in receivership, and he puts out the Ram album, right? And he purposefully crafted this album. This is my favorite Paul McCartney album of all time. Mm-hmm. Rolling Stone was willing to give it a thumbs up. That's what the reviewer was going to do it. Jan Winter, the dirty dog of dirty dogs, then managing editor of Rolling Stone magazine, said, oh, no, you don't. You're going to give that a thumbs down. In the meantime, all three Beatles, Ringo, George, and John, were bad-mouthing not only McCartney, but Ram itself. McCartney had a couple of poignant little things like, you took your lucky break and you broke it in two. Now what can be done to you, for you, aimed directly at John. My dog, he got 3 legs. Your dog, he got 1. There were 4 Beatles. Now there's 3 legs and 1, right? A lot of Beatle references, but it's still a masterpiece. And it continued. Now, in every interview, all three, Ringo, John, and George, hated Paul's music, cut it down. John being buddy with Jan Winter, who all the time, right? And all these interviews that John was doing, and a lot of negative Paul stuff. Jan Winter, buddy to John, putting the nicks in Rolling Stone. It hurt Paul. Matter of fact, Paul even said, and this is kind of a trick he played, he said that half the songs on Ram were written by him and Linda. And the idea was to free up monies that he would earn in the publishing so that they could survive, because he was trying to save the Beatles' legacy. Yeah. That album did not sell well, like it should have at all. I mean, it's a McCartney album. It did okay.
Right,
but this was a freaking masterpiece. And the vile back and forth. And Yoko right in the midst of it. Everybody these days, shame on him. Oh no, you haven't heard enough of Yoko's music. I've heard it all. I still don't like her best stuff. Okay? You're wrong, you're fucking wrong.
It's easy to get saturated there quickly.
Good God. So anyway, and then when Paul could get a grip on this, and it would have been good for Yoko too, she wasn't going to play any more games, even though the dirty dog, Biddy, sent Paul off to the East Coast to save John from his long lost weekend, and he did it out of the goodness of his heart, that here's how you get back with Yoko. She's a manipulating dragon lady.